Hello and welcome back to the Painted Panel, where we paint you a bigger picture. I'm the Messy Gentleman, and with me again is Beck from Oz.
G'day, guys. How you all today?
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Firstly, we're talking about chemtrails. Those plumes of cloud that trail behind planes and such.
Mm.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Beck?
I've been following this for quite a while, Messi. When I first got awoken and was started through Richie from Boston, actually, when I first heard about this, and watching what he'd videoed, it was very conclusive evidence that something wasn't that was not contrails. Contrails go away very quickly, and also contrails are never that high in the air as well. These planes are specially built government planes, and they also go under the guise of British Airways a lot of time. And they have specially designed tanks in them with nozzles to spray these chemicals. So to me, this is not a conspiracy. It is a real thing. And we're very fortunate here that we've only seen them a few times, actually, where I live.
Yeah.
And so I really I just I've talked to people about this that just can't see it, and I can't get a grasp that they can say that they know it's not true when they've done no research themselves.
Yeah, therein lies a really big problem. You can't speak on anything unless you have conclusive evidence, so to speak. Um, I
Absolutely, knowledge is power.
Yeah, well, that's right. I have an article here written by Richard Lee, who writes for Richmond County's Daily Journal. And upon writing this, he was just a small business owner. He never considered himself a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. And he goes on to say that when these military aircraft come over and the trails go from horizon to horizon, one February 2 years ago, I finally saw one of the aircraft itself. Until that day, all I'd ever seen was the chemtrails and nothing more. As I sat there for several hours, watching what turned out to be very unnatural. I watched as these chemtrails dropped lower. As they dropped, they got wider. It was at that time that these clouds, for that is what they look like at that point, started doing funny things, things that clouds do not normally do. They started rolling over and twisting upon themselves. He says, I also took notice the entire county had been checkerboarded in this pattern, and in time, what started out as a blue cloudless sky was no more. The whole county had a cloud over it. So,
Wow. So I have seen something like that where we've had beautiful clear days, days and days and days in a row. We've had no humidity, and then you'll wake up and the sky is just grey. And I wonder if they're doing it at night here because it's the barometric pressure and things like that would not it just doesn't make sense that you'd wake up and it be cloudy and then the next day you wake up and it's back to normal. So, and I have seen where the clouds appear to be what I would call crying, dripping even. I've filmed that,
yeah.
and I haven't actually uploaded that onto my channel, but I really should get around to that because that was conclusive evidence for me here. And just because we don't have it a lot here, we do, but we're not seeing it in the daytime. Like they're just being blatantly obvious over in the States and in
Yeah.
other countries. Now, if you go on Mike Morales' channel, he shows from the satellite photos that you can see the checkerboard design that they have, their signature patterns that they have. And they usually create a lot of cirrus cloud, these chemicals. So cirrus clouds are no longer natural like they were when I was a child. And they definitely have a different pattern. And do you know, Messi, that they've actually in schools teaching kids these new clouds, the shape of new clouds, teaching them the new names?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
okay.
Now, how many when we went to school were there? Like, you're a lot younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was still the same clouds. And,
Yeah.
you know, we so now we've got all these new clouds. Okay, go figure, people. Please, do a little bit of research before you say that we're mad. The evidence is there. You don't have to go far. You can go Mike Morales' channel. You can go to Jim Lee's channel, Richie from Boston's channel. the people that really care, who are out there with their cameras and are capturing this stuff day in, day out. Logic before authority channel. I could just keep going on and on, but okay,
Yeah.
Messi, over to you.
Yeah, well, also just to clarify, we're not saying that contrails don't exist because they definitely exist. We're talking
Of
about something
course,
completely separate, chemtrails.
of course.
And yeah, the second part of Robert Lee's article, which I'll link in the description for anyone who wants to check it out, it's a really fascinating read. He says that those who work in the field of geoengineering will tell you that the goal is to reduce global warming. Just another lie that we've been told. They got caught. For years, the government denied the idea of chemtrails and geoengineering. When people started to figure out what was going on, they owned up to it. And as the world's people observe more strange trails in the sky, we begin to ask more questions that the government cannot answer. And as we ask more questions, the world's governments push justification through the mainstream media and their scientific studies. But there are just some things that they can't justify at the end of the day. Uh, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just before we get off this topic, I do want to tell everybody to go over to geoengineering.com, and Dane Wigington has just an unbelievable site there. So that's geoengineering.com, Dane Wigington, and you can find out everything that you need to know, and it's backed with proof. So,
Yeah.
if
We'll
you want to
be
be in denial, that's fine, then just don't go there.
we'll be yeah, we'll be sure to link that in the description also. And just before we leave this subject, lastly, there is a Guardian article here. I'll link this in the description also. It says, Discovery raises new questions about the amount of plastic waste permeating the air, water, and soil virtually everywhere on Earth. And it goes on to say, plastic was the furthest thing from Gregory Weatherby's mind when he began analyzing rainwater samples collected from the Rocky Mountains. And he says, I guess I expected to see mostly soil and mineral particles, said the US Geological Survey researcher. Instead, he found multicolored microscopic plastic fibers. So just another thing that's worrying. And he published this study titled "It's Raining Plastic," so that should give you some idea of exactly what's out there. And it's quite scary when you start to think
So
about
it's not only chemicals. It's not bad enough that everything we use is plastic, but they're going to rain it down on us as well, plastic as well. That's probably why all the mass die-offs are happening with the sea creatures. It's going into the water. It's going into their organs and killing them, as well as the chemicals. So yeah, that's
it.
really
Yeah,
sad, isn't it?
abs-
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah, it's something that really needs to be addressed and brought to the public's eye and their perception, more than it is. Because yeah, he says here, I think the most important result that we can share with the American public is that there's more plastic out there than meets the eye. It's in the rain, it's in the snow, it's a part of our environment now. So
Yeah, idea.
yeah, so what do you think? Government conspiracy, or is it just a work of fiction? You guys let us know in the comments below. Now, yeah, moving along, let's talk about the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, and their
Oh, my favourite people.
and their plans to put humans on the moon, and can it be done within 9 years? So this is another really interesting subject. Uh,
Mm,
so, yeah, they plan on returning to the moon by 2024 and to have sustained human presence there by 2028. Um,
right.
9 years is. I don't think they're being generous enough with the time frame they've given themselves, but we'll see.
No, well, seeing that they lost the technology that they had, and it costs a lot to get that technology back,
Yeah,
that they said with their own mouth that Don Pettit, one of their top astronauts, said, I would go to the moon in a nanosecond. However, we lost the technology, and it's a painful process to build it back. So you're
yeah,
either going to love me or you're going to hate me on this subject, people, because I do not believe that we ever went to the moon. So saying that we're going back there in 2024 is just a massive stretch, because
yeah.
we never went there in the first place, as far as my opinion is concerned. What do you
Mm.
think, Methy?
Well, yeah. I mean, our opinions they differ here because
Yes.
I believe that we went there, but some of the footage that I've seen, it just looks a bit too smoke and mirrors for my taste, and especially a lot of the audio. There's no delays in the audio, which is what you'd encounter when sending signals at such a distance. So, yeah, I don't know. I,
When he was talking with Nixon on the phone and there was no delay, I mean, we have delay talking on our cell phones from, from 1,000 kilometers away. So,
that's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be 238,000 kilometers away. And not only that, there were very small details that a lot of people missed in the 60s and the 70s. And one of them that got me straight away, was who was manning the camera that actually, when they took off from the moon, that
Mm.
filmed them take? How did they get that footage? A really simple child's play. If you sit down, analyze a lot of the footage, some really, really about it. My mother told me it was about, and I
Oh,
laughed at her. I so laughed at her.
mm.
I thought she'd gone. I thought she'd lost the plot. Here I am, 15 years later, that I
Yeah.
have
We're
taken
we're just losing you a little bit
definitely.
there. Um, anyway, I'll go on to say, sorry not to
Yes.
cut you off, just while
No.
you try to figure out your audio issues there. The Artemis program, which is a three-stage mission, I believe they detail it as. It will be a sequence of missions beginning with, let me see here, I've got my notes. Uh, It'll be a three-sequence mission beginning with an unmanned flight in 2020, a flight with a crew in 2022, which will orbit the moon, and finally a mission in 2024, which will see humans land on the moon's south pole. So make of that, what you will. I think it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. 9 years though doesn't seem like a very healthy time frame to be doing this sort of thing.
9 doesn't surprise me. They've used that number. In 1969 was the moon landing.
Mm.
And because I've done so much research into this, Messi, it all goes back to the occult. It's a very long story, something for another day. However, I'll just shorten it.
Mm-hmm.
1969, they love their numbers, and 1969 is 666. And because it
Oh,
was all based on the occult, it's a big show. I'm just going to come out and say it straight away. I believe it's a big show. It is the biggest hoax we've ever had.
mm-hmm.
And the Bible speaks that there would be a deception so great in the end days that it could even fool the elect, that it could, if you let
Yeah.
it. Well, I am an elect, and I am not, because I have seen through their smoke and mirrors and their Hollywood basement setting. And if you look at, we go around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and then the sun is traveling through the galaxy at 666,000 miles an hour. So all their numbers, they just love their numbers, the occultists. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. Overall, NASA's seen the space shuttle program has flown 135 missions between 1981 and 2011, two of which ended in disasters. I'm sure everyone listening knows, killing 14 astronauts. The first being the Challenger, which blew up just after liftoff in 1986, and the second being the Columbia, which disintegrated, upon re-entry in 2003. So it is certainly a dangerous endeavor. And I have a slide here that let me find it. Okay, so lastly, we'll just leave with this.
Mm.
NASA's 2019 budget is 21.5 billion US dollars, and the Trump administration is asking Congress to boost that to 22.6 billion in the 2020 budget. Those amounts may sound like a windfall until you consider that the total gets split among all agencies' divisions and ambitious projects, including the James Webb Space Telescope, the giant rocket project called Space Launch System, so SLS for short, a far-flung mission to the Sun, that sounds fun, Jupiter, Mars, the asteroid belt, and the Kuiper belt, and the edge of the solar system, And by contrast, the US military gets a budget of about 680 billion US dollars a year. So, God, that's a lot of freaking money, isn't it?
Oh, what? And they need more? You know, they make $53 million a day, NASA.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very interesting. And I forgot about this one. There was a poll taken at the end of last year. Should NASA last landed on the moon's surface in 1972? Should NASA return to the moon? Out of a total of 1,140 votes, 42.9% said no. I don't think it's a priority at this time. So,
I think that our world's collapsing around us is much more of a priority to put that money into sustainability of our planet.
that's right.
Oh, sorry, plane.
Aid to third world countries, I feel, would be imperative over having a sustained presence on the moon. But nonetheless, it's a really interesting topic to discuss. So yeah, have we been there before, or was it all a hoax? Give us your thoughts on this below. Now, lastly, we're briefly going to touch on the subject that is flat Earth. Now, Beck, you've made dozens of videos on flat Earth, and you have a very strong opinion on this topic.
I do. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my opinion is that we live in an
Oh, sorry, we lost you. Say that again.
Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, you just dropped out for a sec there.
Okay. That's okay. It must be. I have a very strong opinion on it, yes, and I do not like the words flat earth. I am over flat earth. I feel that we live in an enclosed system, and the flat earth community is very divided, and it's just, and no matter what group is right and or who is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
However, in 1930, I'll just give you a little bit of information. There was a guy
Yep.
called Auguste Piccard, and he was the first man to go up into the stratosphere. It was in a balloon, so to speak, a module on the bottom. And what he described when he came back, dead flat with upturned edges, so kind of like a disc, you know.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was the first man to ever go into the stratosphere. Auguste Piccard, 1930, mind you. Now, this information is suppressed these days. You can find it, but it is quite a bit of digging to find it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also been actual tests done, Messi, like the Michelson-Morley experiment. It was done with light rays. Now, you can look this up, guys, do a little bit of research. It's fun to do research. Look up the Michelson-Morley experiment, where these light rays were used to prove that we live on a flat and stationary plane. Also, the Bedford trials that was done in the UK. That was done in, I believe it was the 1960s in the UK. But they're both things that you can look up. It's a little bit too much for me to go into a discussion about it at the moment. But
Mm-hmm.
just while I'm here, and I'm striking while the iron's hot here,
Yeah.
star trails. Star trails. So if you get, like, I own a P900, a Nikon P900 camera, but I'm not in the Northern Hemisphere. But if you grab your camera, guys, and you get your star trails set up, that your, what is it, Messi, your fast exposure, or, I've got a camera, but I'm not very good at photography yet,
Yeah. I
where you're
think
doing star trails.
I'm not a photographer as such, but it
Expert.
could be your shutter speed. I think that might be what you're
Yeah,
referring to. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. So what they've done is they have, videoed where Polaris never moves. Now, if the North Star never ever moves, the only reason we can't see it on a flat plane is because we actually are too far. So the North Star is over them and it never ever moves. If we're in a galaxy where things are moving at incredible speeds, and you can film the stars going around you in a circle, and the middle star never moves, well, I don't need much more proof than just that myself. And I've
Mm.
gotten so much information about it that unfortunately, it's not an opinion anymore. It's an in-ground belief that there is an old saying, once you're flat, you can never go back. Well, I will agree with that.
That's a good
because
one.
the evidence is overwhelming. And do you try to prove that it's a globe? You can't do it. Like, it's supposed to be 8 inches per square mile of curvature, but cameras shoot that out of the ballpark. That's not even in the argument anymore. And
Yeah,
anyone that owns a very powerful camera knows that now. So yeah, it's a very interesting topic. It's something that we will touch on in our lives, because we want you guys feedback. We want to talk to you about it. We really need
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
know the truth of where we, and if they've been lying about this all this time, the big question is why, isn't it? It's
Yeah. Well, it'd just be another thing in the long list of lies. You know,
absolutely.
and
Mm.
this topic is
So
something that splits people right down the middle. Either you're for or against. I personally, I think it's spherical, like we're on a globe,
mhm.
but I understand the argument surrounding why people believe it's flat, and your argument, and we've discussed this certain topic time and time again, and we never reach a conclusion on which we both agree upon.
Sometimes, sometimes not so happily.
That's right. It gets a little bit heated. Yeah. No,
But
it's great.
we've learned to agree to disagree. We have, haven't
Mm.
we? And I know I've taught you things that you never know, and I listen to your subjective opinion on it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess, it's not necessarily about always being right, but about being heard, and having a voice,
Yes.
and having that voice appreciated. And that's why we're doing this because,
That's yes.
we appreciate.
That's why we started this channel.
That's right. Yeah. Well, food for thought. Globe or a disc?
So guys, yeah, chime in, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Sorry,
Yeah.
Messi, I went over the top of you then.
No, that's okay. Round or flat, hit that comment section and share your thoughts with us. But perhaps, just leaving on a high note, perhaps it's not a globe. Perhaps it's not flat Earth. Perhaps it's cat Earth. More food for thought. All hail the mighty space cat. Okay, well, next episode we'll
I love
focus. It's funny. Next episode will focus heavily on geoengineering and how weather can be used as a weapon against the peoples of the Earth and the effect that it is having on the Earth itself. So we look forward to that. And we will also factor in how Dorian could be one of these geoengineered storms. So keep an eye out for that upload. And to anyone in Florida, we just wanted to say, bunker down, stay safe in these coming days. It does look like you're in for a bit of a bumpy ride, so our thoughts and our prayers go out to
uh,
you guys and anyone who's yet to be affected by that.
just a really quick update on that just before we go. They are saying now that it's going to hit South Carolina. So it just keeps changing so rapidly, this storm.
Oh, wow.
Anybody on that coast, anywhere you are, it could just, it's supposed to do a really severe right turn as well. So this thing is erratic because it is being steered, I believe. So now they're saying it's going across the coast at South Carolina. I have a lot of
Mm,
people that I know in South Carolina, so my prayers are with you all. I am thinking and praying for you. Stay safe, guys, wherever this hits. Be prepared, get your water, food, matches, blankets.
yeah, absolutely. Anything that might help in these coming days. So, yeah, our thoughts are with you guys. Anything else you want to add before we sign off and get the hell out of here?
I did. Just please make sure your animals are cared for. If you have to leave your premises, please look after your animals, okay?
Mm,
I'm so crazy about animals. I love them so much. So don't forget about your pets. And that's about all I've got to say, Messi. It was really good talking to you again today, and
absolutely.
I look forward to our next chat.
Yes, as do I. It's been a blast as always. So, everyone, you
Yes,
stay safe, stay happy, and always paint yourself a bigger picture. And we'll
bigger
see you
picture.
guys in the next one.
Bye, everybody. I'm back from Oz. I'm off.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you.